be there to let
I don't know if it has to be 100%, but if there's a constant presence most of the time, I think
maybe recruit people that aren't at this meeting.
People are going to be around.
You know, because there are neighbors that aren't at this meeting. So maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole neighborhood has been looted.
Now I didn't sign up.
Okay, I'm here down in Kapoho Vacationland with some of the residents who just had a community meeting. And I'm here with
Greg Braun, I'm the president of the association here.
So tell us a little bit about the situation down here in Kapoho.
Well, we were very surprised because Vacationland is known to have low elevation, and it was the center point of the storm. It's where the hurricane came ashore, and we've had severe damage, which has happened in Kapoho before, and we feel that the county has been fairly unresponsive. We understand the big task they have in front of them, but in the past, knowing the situation in Kapoho, we felt the civil defense would have been here before now, the police would have been here before now, and emergency response information would have been available to us. The Tribune Herald newspaper delivery service got here before civil defense. We had papers in our boxes on Saturday morning at 5 a.m. We didn't see civil defense until around noon. So we're kind of disappointed by the response. We're kind of disappointed with their attitude about we have to fend for ourselves. This is what people have been told us. Everybody that's come down here has just dropped in for 15 or 20 minutes and said they were here to assess the damage. We've had no communication, and we felt very isolated, more than any other community, because in the beginning we had no way in and no way out.
Wow. So what are your biggest needs as a community right now?
We could use ice and water at times. We were told by Helco people this morning it might be 2 to 3 weeks before we have power down here. The police and the fire department have been giving ice away at stations, but they haven't come into a community where there's a concentration of people where the need is high. So instead of having to try to figure out a way which way to get to Kapoho to find out if any stores have ice or if there's ice at the fire station, it would be nice if the police or the fire department or civil defense would supply us with materials on site here. We've had no assessments. We have pollution in the tide pools. We have no information on what we're allowed to clear or not clear, whether they're going to help us or not help us. We just are amazed because in the past, when we've had these incidences in the past, when Iselle came in 1986, the county was here almost immediately with help. And now the situation is much worse, and we've hardly seen anybody.
Tell us a little bit more about the sewage pollution and the hazardous substances that are in the tide pools right now.
Well, what's happened, and I'm just learning this too, is a lot of septic tanks were damaged, a lot of cesspools were uncapped. Gas containers, propane containers were swept in. There's a lot of debris and a lot of tide pools. The tide pools are starting to smell. We don't know if there's dead animals in there or there's other we feel there's contaminants in there. We're afraid to. We have no direction from the county on what we should do. We haven't seen FEMA assessors down here. We don't know if the Corps of Engineers needs to give us permission to do stuff. Right now, everything that's been going on in the whole Kapoho to Kalapana area, for the most part, has been done by volunteers, opening the roads to a point where finally we're starting to see the state and the county and independent contractors working very hard. I'm not faulting anyone on due diligence and trying to help, but it's amazing that Kapoho was the eye of the storm, and yet we seem to be on the back burner for the and no one's been down here to give us any assurance at all on what to expect, when to expect help, if we even are going to get help, you know, because as a community, if we know we're on our own completely, then we'll be starting, like today's meeting, we will start to to organize and see what we can do on our own. But in the past, we've always had the county or the state giving us assistance. And with this type of a disaster, we feel we need their help.
And just to recap one more time for our viewers, so we have no power.
There's no power,
No phone service.
there's no cell phone service, there's no phone service. Maybe 3 weeks before we get power. We don't even know which roads are open to Pahoa because they're constantly closing and shifting those around so they can do work on it, which I'm glad they're doing. But we've just had to set up a signboard for our community bulletin boards on which roads are open at what time. So we just wish we had more communication.
Anything else you'd like to say to the community?
No, it's just that a lot of people, I mean, the people that have generators that could follow the news in the area were amazed by the fact that on Friday after the storm, no one was even talking about Kapoho. No one was even mentioning how that Paradise Park, all the trees, but I know as you drove down here, you saw the devastation and how much, I mean, how many power lines are down, how many phone lines are down. We just don't know when we'll be able to have services back. And this is a vacation community. A lot of people down here make their living with vacation rentals and other means of renting places. We're at a loss for words, really. We're just really surprised that we haven't had a team of people down here giving us information.